What up, YouTube? It's Randy Orton Fan 2011 here to bring you round 22 of 30 in Season 3 of the PORWC Pepsi Max Nationwide Series. We are here at a new track in the PORWC circuit, New Orleans Motor Speedway, here for the Nike 250. We'll be here for both the Nationwide and the Cup Series, as well as the other 8 remaining races in the Pepsi Max Nationwide Series schedule. So just to make sure you guys are aware of that. So we're in full swing here in the playoffs for the Nationwide Series. We got plenty of drivers ready to show what they can do here in this series as we go to a new track, New Orleans Motor Speedway. It's around just in between 2 and 2.25 miles. It's probably one of those tracks where a lot of pit strategy could come into play here. So we might see some pit strategy come into the mix here as we're just about ready to fire up these engines. And before that, let's take a look at the starting lineup. As look at your starting lineup, Johnny Gardner will be on the pole for the first time this season. He'll be alongside Barney Ward, one of the 16 playoff drivers in this season. He's currently 4th in the standings. There is Sean Henley, who came off a good finish at Chicagoland. He is currently 3rd in the series, and he'll be alongside Ryan Juke. There is Ryan Richards, who had probably for Ryan Richards, it was one race where he probably could have done better, but now he's starting up towards the front here as he'll start in 5th. There's Dylan Pote, your current points leader. Came off the win at Chicagoland, and with him starting out inside the top 10, we'll see if he can come up with something big here in the next few races. There's Callum Wales, who'll be starting 7th. John Dillon, 2 non-chasers, starting 8th. Sean Galligan, another non-chaser, and there's Cody Lamas. So 7th through 10th are all non-chasers as we're just about ready to fire up these engines, and let's get this race started under the lights here in New Orleans. Alright, here we go. We're going to be here for 20 laps here in Mardi Gras City, New Orleans. Going to be an interesting race here, especially with a new track. This is a brand new track, so it's going to take quite a bit for these cars to get used to it. We'll see all 42 cars come down the field here. Going to maintain pace speed up until that pace car will make the left turn to pit road here. Waiting on the pace car. It looks like we're going to have a nice, pretty good race here. Pretty good race as we're in the early stages of the playoffs. So the early stages of the playoffs are always interesting. See who has the momentum heading into those late stages, the mid stages, and the late stages of the playoffs. There goes the pace car. It'll make the left turn to pit road. Here we go. Green flag is out. 20 laps here in New Orleans. Now we're going to be watching around the field because it looks like the field's starting to bunch up right around here. And there's James Qualls already going down below that yellow line. I don't know what James Qualls is thinking there. Got to be careful. This is not one of those plate tracks, so you do not get penalized for passing below that yellow line. But again, that can be pretty dangerous considering what could happen here over the course of this race. Looks like we got a bunch of the field here pretty much spread out. There's a battle for the lead. Johnny Gardner, Barney Ward battling for the top spot. Johnny Gardner leads lap 1, and he gets a bonus point. But remember, Barney Ward's going to need that lap lead even more. He wants that a little more than Johnny Gardner because he is in the chase, as well as Sean Henley. Both of them are currently battling for the lead with Johnny Gardner. He's head towards the back of the pack. Not much action going on here. Looks like we're just about single file. Hopefully we'll get to see a caution-free race if possible. And again, looks like the field is just about single file. Not much passing going on around the rest of this area, but remember that pit stops can play a major factor in determining the outcome of this race. Remember that pit stops are a key factor in determining the outcome of this race. We've passed 2 laps so far. Sean Henley with a peek on the inside, trying to take away second. Couldn't get it right there. Again, it looks like the field has gone single file now. So we won't see much passing here, but again, once the pit stops come, we will be seeing quite a lot of action, and we will see a huge field shakeup as pit stops will happen. Barney Ward still battling with Johnny Gardner for the lead. Sean Henley now trying to defend third from Ryan Juke. Ryan Richards now in the still in the fifth position. There's Dylan Poteet, our points leader, currently running in the 6th position. Again, the field is now spread out to about single file, but wait till pit stops happen, because once pit stops happen, that is when the field is going to be shaken up quite a lot. Again, they're pretty much maintaining a good speed, pretty much maintaining just over 200 miles per hour over the straights, just under 200 miles per hour through the turns. Pretty fast speedway here. Don't have to use a lot of brake. Johnny Gardner currently has now led 4 laps so far, and now here comes Sean Henley. Sean Henley trying to take away the 2nd position from Barney Ward, but Barney Ward able to maintain momentum on the outside line. There's not a lot of room on that inside line, and now here comes Ryan Juke looking to the inside of Sean Henley for that 3rd position. And here comes Ryan Richards now in the picture as well. Ryan Richards trying to get himself a better position better than where he is right now. Ryan Richards currently in the top 5. Would love to have that, but Ryan Richards, he would certainly love to gain some momentum after a not so good race at Chicagoland. We've completed 5 laps without a yellow flag, and looks like the field is now single file. But again, pit stops are going to play a major factor and a major role in this race as we go through the laps. So remember that. Again, everyone pretty much maintaining speed here. Everyone pretty much maintaining speed so far. Not much speed difference, not much a little differential between the lap times. We'll pay attention to the lap times as we go through the race. They cross the stripe again. We've completed 6 laps so far. Wait till pit stops happen, because that will shake up the field. Again, Johnny Gardner, Barney Ward, Sean Henley, they're all running similar lap times as far as I know. As far as we know, they're all running similar lap times. There's Seth Cole. He's all the way towards the back, and he's going to need to hope that these pit stops become a major factor for him, and hoping for him to move up in the field, because he's currently dead last and he's maintaining speed with the rest of the field here. Everybody else is pretty much going at the same speed. Everyone running similar lap times. Completed 7 laps so far as we get to lap 8. Again, pit stops will be the factor in determining the outcome of this race. As we see it so far, we haven't seen a yellow flag, which is always good news, but remember that we may not have a lot of action because all the field is now single file. Sean Henley looking for some momentum on the inside, trying to go to the inside, looking for the 2nd position. Henley with a nice run. Barney Ward able to keep the outside line going. So we haven't seen much passing going on. Again, I apologize for such a boring race, but we haven't seen much passing going on, and it's really helping those guys who are starting in the front. But again, as we approach the pit stops, we will be approaching pit stop time. That will most likely shake up the field. And here we go. Johnny Gardner will be the first of the few takers, and here comes Ryan Richards, Dylan Poteet, and Callum Wales. They're going to come into their pit stops. John Dillon also going to make a pit stop, and now who will lead this lap? Barney Ward will lead a lap, and he gets a major bonus point for leading that lap. Barney Ward going to need every point he can get, as well as Sean Henley. They're going to need every point they can get because they are in the playoffs. As now we approach the pit stops here. We approach the pit stops, and we'll take a look from the rest of the angles here. Now we are going to be paying attention to the rest of these guys, as it looks like everyone else will make their will go into pit lane. It looks like everybody else, the rest of the field, will go in for pit stops. Now the question is, who is going to make it out first? As you see, there is the rest of the field. They are just coming in. Now this is going to be a big mix-up here, because a lot of the guys who are towards the back, they could end up playing an shit, Dylan Young is over. Dylan Young just flipped over somehow on pit road. That's going to block up the rest of the that's going to block up so much of the track there. Boy, that was one thing we were waiting for. And Barney Ward, wow, this is going to really cost those guys that are on pit road right now. This is really going to cost those guys big time on pit road, when we haven't gotten the yellow flag, which is a surprise for some reason. We did not get the yellow flag, which is a surprise, and again, that has shaken up the field here. That really did shake up the field. Dylan Young, one of the chasers. Boy, this is a very bad start for Dylan Young in the Nationwide Series. 2 straight races where he has gotten into problems. And for Dylan Young, he's going to need a big miracle. Dylan Young's going to need a big miracle if he wants to get back in the chase in championship contention later on this season. But what that really benefits is the guys who pitted on the first bit of pit stops. That's going to really benefit those guys. Now, I want to know who led it. Now, it looks like the leaderboard has shown Sean Henley as leading at the halfway point, so PRWC officials will give Sean Henley those 2 extra bonus points, 1 for leading a lap and 1 for leading at the halfway point. Here we come with 9 laps to go. And now it's our previous race winner, Dylan Potey. And there goes Sean Henley. Wow. And just like that, Sean Henley, something happened with Sean Henley, and I believe that might have happened during those pit road incidents. All those pit road incidents that we had over the course of that part of pit stops. So I told you pit stops was going to be a major factor in this race, but I didn't think it was going to be this big. The first chaser is Dylan Potey, currently your leader, trying to defend the lead. The next chaser is Ryan Richards, currently running 6th. Where's the next chaser? James McLeod is running in 9th position. He's the third of the chasers. The fourth best chaser is, I believe, trying to figure out who it is. The 4th best chaser is currently Charles Jackson, and he's battling for 16th position with the defending champ Danny Wells. So just like that, that has shaken up a lot. So all those incidents on pit road has just shaken up a lot of the field there. And we got 1, 2. I'm trying to count here. 3 is James McLeod. 4 is Ryan Richards. 5 is Dylan Potey. So we only got 5 playoff drivers right now running in the top 20. So this is good. So all those pit stops that happened earlier really played a major factor in this race. We saw Johnny Gardner just earlier trying to make a pass on Dylan Potey. Again, the veteran Dylan Potey able to hold his line on the outside, able to keep that momentum going. Dylan Young stuck on pit road. Boy, this is a very tough start for Dylan Young. And we still haven't seen a yellow flag come out. We're going to have to take a look at all those incidents that happened on pit road, because boy, this has changed the landscape of the points a hell of a lot. Three drivers, not to mention 3 chasers actually, 3 playoff drivers are either DNF from the race or at least 4 laps down. Boy, this is gonna shake up the points a hell of a lot, I'll tell you that. We were not expecting something like that to happen. We're gonna have to take a look at all those incidents at the conclusion of this race, or at the first yellow flag, if it is going to happen. Well, just when you think something cannot shake up the field a hell of a lot more, look at this. Now the field is pretty much spread out now, and it looks like we might have a two-car battle here for the lead. Dylan Pote did get out of pit lane before Johnny Gardner, so... And again, because of all those incidents on pit road, that really benefited the first group of the pit stoppers that came in. That really benefited the first group that came in at lap 11, at lap 10, as opposed to those that came in on lap 12. So we're gonna have a big shakeup now in the points and in the leaderboard now as we come around 4 laps to go. I was surprised that the yellow flag didn't even come out when they were on pit road. I don't know why the yellow flag did not come out, because pit road was pretty much unsafe, and it really cost a bunch of guys, drivers like Seth Cole, Liam Ervig, Robert Wagner, Ron Fajardo. Now they're all the way back in the bottom 10 now. And for, like, I would say maybe 3 of the chasers, it's going to benefit them a hell of a lot with the chasers being spread out, and with drivers such as Seth Cole, Liam Ervig, Robert Wagner, Ron Fajardo running in the bottom 10 right now. And then 3 more chasers, Sean Henley, Barney Ward, and Dylan Young. Wow. Well, I didn't expect to see something like this, but this is just unbelievable. We have to take a look at this at the conclusion of this race. Well, just when you thought something like that couldn't happen, this happens. And Dylan Pote's still trying to hang on to the lead, but now these guys cannot make it on fuel. These guys are going to have to come in again. So now the question is, it's going to be dependent on who's going to come out first. So these pit stops are really going to play a huge amount of strategy coming into this race, as John Dillon leads the next lap with 2 laps to go. These guys have to make green flag pit stops. Well, at least the guys who are running in the front now. I'm assuming these guys running in the back now, and then John Dillon and Ryan Richards still out on the track. They're gonna have to come in as well. Let's take a look. Let's watch the pace car here. Let's watch the pit road sequences here. And Johnny Gardner came up with an awfully slow stop, with a slow start. And look at that, Dylan Pote able to come back out in front. Callum Wales second out of that group. Eric Burton third. Johnny Gardner came out fourth of that group. Jack Richards coming back in fifth. Now we're trying to figure out who the leader is. The white flag is out. White flag is being displayed. And John Dillon and Ryan Richards, they did not stop. They're trying to save up some fuel here, or we're going to have a big shakeup. Just when you thought something big like that happens, well, I'll tell you, this has just been a moniker of a race. I cannot believe what we are just seeing. The checkered flag, I believe, is out, and John Dillon comes away with an upset victory here in New Orleans. Oh, you got to hand it to John Dillon there. He managed to save up enough fuel. He pitted on those later. He pitted with the latter group. I believe he pitted in the first group. John Dillon did, and look at that. John Dillon comes away with an upset victory. Ryan Richards. Boy, Ryan Richards is going to be a happy camper after this. He may not have gotten the victory, but after all those incidents on pit road, and with many people not being able to make it on fuel, he will end up with a second place finish. Ryan Richards is going to be a happy camper. Third place actually goes to James McLeod. Boy, there's going to be 2 happy campers after this one. Make that 2 happy campers. Charles Jackson ends up 8th. So 3 happy campers in the chase. But we're going to take a look at all those incidents that happened over the course of, especially the ones on pit road, because that was the big shakeup point of this race. We got to take a good look at all those incidents, because boy, we have had a huge shakeup in this race, and comes away with a non-chaser winning this race here in New Orleans of John Dillon. But let's take a look at all those incidents that happened under the first round of pit stops. This is what happened under the first round of pit stops. I believe Dylan Young, he's actually going to hit something. Look at that. He had plenty of room, and he's going to hit something. He's going to make contact with Joseph Lombard. And look at Robert Wagner, James Silverfox, Liam Ervig, Sam Young, Seth Cole. They really had to slow down. That cost them a lot of time. And now, here comes the second round of guys that were coming in. Boy, this just changed up a hell of a lot. And then Barney Ward's going to make contact with that far end object. And look at Sean Henley. Sean Henley just cannot avoid it. And all these cars are really slowed down on pit road. And this really cost the biggest loser out of this one. Not only Sean Henley and Barney Ward, but the biggest loser out of this group is going to be Ron Fajara. After coming away with a second place finish at Chicagoland, he's going to be stuck between the rest of these guys that were stuck on pit road. Wow. That is just unbelievable what we just saw. And then, of course, John Dillon was part of that first group that pitted. And then with everyone else not being able to make it on fuel, and everyone else not being able to make it on fuel, John Dillon came away with the upset victory here. This is the race back to the start finish line as John Dillon comes away with an upset victory here in New Orleans. Well, Dylan Pote, he's not going to be a happy camper after that one. He could not make it on fuel, and he goes from the lead all the way down to 27th. Wow. So now this is so I told you it was going to be a huge shakeup in the points, and I didn't think it was going to be this much of a shakeup. Well, now we take a look at your official race results. As look at your official race results, congratulations to John Dillon. He wins the Nike 250, his first career win in the PORWC, and well, I'll tell you, this is going to be a big race for some, but for others, it's going to be a race to forget. Ryan Richards, James McLeod, both of them are playoff drivers. Both of them are chasers. They will end up on the podium, so great days for those two. Max Russell, Richard Johnson, 4th and 5th. Kyle Sosnowski, Zora Manood. Charles Jackson will be the 3rd of the best chasers in 8th. David Burton, 9th, and James Qualls runs the top 10. 11th through 20th are Alex Jones, Stephen Whitman, Michael Norman, Joseph Lombard, Ryan Juke, Sean Galligan, Jacob Cook, Cole Daly, Red Bell, and Xavier Livingston. So I'm looking at the top 20 right now. I'm looking at 3 chasers that finished in the top 10. Only 3 chasers ended up in the top 10, and then 5 chasers ended up in the top 20. So with only 5 chasers ending up in the top 20, 3 more importantly in the top 10. Boy, this is going to shake up the points a hell of a lot. 21st through 30th are Cody Lamas, Ron Fajara, Robert Wagner, Liam Ervig, James Silverfox, Trent Dunham, Dylan Pote, Callum Wells, Eric Burton, and Johnny Gardner all in 1 lap down. 31st through 39th are the last cars that ended up at least finishing the race. Jack Richards, Jacob Lawler, Ryan Cooper, Rhett Yates, Danny Wells, Tony Blazer, Ben Paul, Seth Cole, and Sam Young. 3 cars of DNF from the race: Sean Henley, Barney Ward, and Dylan Young. Well, this was a pretty interesting race here, and pit strategy came down to, and pit strategy determined the outcome of the race. Pit strategy determined the outcome of the race. Told you it was going to be, despite the boring setting, we had quite a lot of action during those pit stops, and pit strategy determined the outcome of the race and gave the win to John Dillon. So congratulations to John Dillon, his first career PORWC victory. Next up will be the Cup Series from this great track, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Alright guys, that's it. This is Randy Orton Fan 2011, signing off. This race has been brought to you by Pepsi Next. Pepsi Next, crisp, refreshing, amazing Pepsi Next. Remember to subscribe to me and become a member of the gang. I'm out.